Good morning, dear students. In today's video, we are going to study about the GST return. So, in this video, we will be studying about what GST return is, what are the different forms of GST return, what are the importance of GST return, and who can file a GST return. So, a GST return, it is said in chapter number 8 of CGST Act of 2017. Now, if you see these returns, it has various sections. Section 25, it says about furnishing details of outward supply. If anybody is doing any kind of outward supply, or when GST, if you are doing, there will be outward supply. For that, all rules and regulation, it is contained in section 25. Section 25, it clearly says about furnishing details of inward supply. Right? If you are dealing with the business, you will be having inward supply, and the things related to inward supply are being mentioned in section 26. 27 is particularly for return of GST. So the things which are mentioned in return of GST, those all things are mentioned in this particular section. Then section 27A, this is for the first return. So if you are doing any kind of first return, or first time you are registered and you are doing the return, and those all things are mentioned in this particular section. Section 28, this is for claim of input tax credit and provisional acceptance thereof. Right? If you are claiming anything called as input tax credit, those all things are mentioned in this particular section, section 28. Section 29 is for meaning, reversal, and claim of input tax credit. So this section 29 is mainly for claiming of input tax credit. Section 29A is for claim of reduction in output tax liability. If you are claiming to reduce your output tax liability, the rules are contained in section 29A. Section 30 is for annual return. Annually, when you are filing a return, the things and rules are said in section 30. Section 31, it is for final return. Right? Final return is the complete return, right? Where maybe in sometimes your registration is cancelled and you are paying the return. That is also a final return. Then section 32 is for notice to return defaulters. If any defaulters are there who have not paid return, so the notice has to be given according to section 32. Section 33 is levy of late fees. If anybody is paying the GST after the time specified or stipulated period of time, they have to pay a late fees. The rules are contained in section 33. 34 is for tax return preparer. If anybody is preparing any tax return, so that all contains those all information is contained in section 34 of CGST Act of 2017. Now, what are the importance of returns? It is tool for compliance verification program of tax administration. Right? It will have a compliance. If you follow this GST properly, you will find that all rules and regulation will get properly followed, and it is a kind of tool to verify your verification program of tax administration. Similarly, providing necessary inputs for policy decision making. It provides the different kind of inputs, necessary inputs, which are very important for policy decision making. You want to make a policies. So to make your policies, the tax return will give you the necessary inputs. Management of audit and anti-evasion programs of tax administration. It manages your audit, right? If you want to manage your audit, the return is going to help you. Similarly, there are different kinds such as tax anti-evasion programs of tax administration. So it also avoids your things called as anti-evasion programs of tax administration. Then finalization of tax liabilities of taxpayers with stipulated period of time. Finally, how much tax each tax administrator or each tax person is liable to pay. That finalization will be done. Similarly, the stipulated period of time will also be told to the taxpayers. Then who all should file the tax return? First of all registered taxable persons, right? Whether they are doing business or they are not doing business, they should file a GST. Agencies and other entities claiming refund for tax paid, they should also file GST. TDS authorities, in the month in which they affect the TDS, they should file the GST. Persons who have been allotted UID for month in which they have made interstate inward supply of taxable goods or services. Right? Somebody has been allotted with the unique identity number. Right? Those for a particular month to do a transaction between interstate, even they should also file a GST. Now, what are the different types of GST? GST are one. GST return form number one. This is for outward supply, right? Made for a period of 1 month by a regular taxpayer, 10th of succeeding month. So whatever when to be filed, it is filed on 10th of succeeding month. GST return form number two. This is for inward supply, made for a month by a regular taxpayer. This is said in section 26, as we have already seen that. It is filed on 15th of succeeding month. GST form number 3. This is monthly return by a regular taxpayer, and this is filed on 20th of succeeding month. GST return form number 4. This is quarterly return by a composition taxpayer. So somebody, they don't want to pay a regularly like monthly, they can go for a quarterly taxpayer. Then it is paid on 18th of succeeding month after the end of the quarter. Then GSTR return 5 for form number 5, periodic return by a non-resident foreign taxpayer. Right, this is periodic return paid by a non-resident Indian taxpayer who is a foreign taxpayer. So it is paid on when to be filed is 20th of succeeding month. Then GST return form number 6, return of ISD. Then this is also on 13th of next month. GST registration number 7. This is for TDS return, tax deducted at source return. This is of 10th of next month. Similarly, GST return number 8, annual return, and this is to be paid on 13th of December, the next financial year. Then similarly, final return. The taxpayers who registration is cancelled, they can apply for final return within the 3 months of the date of cancellation, the date of order, whichever is later. So they can apply for final return. First return is for newly registered person who have been registering the tax for the recently. Then the other points which we should take care is tax payers have multiple registration, like they have registered in Karnataka, Maharashtra, and various other states. So they have to file a separate returns for each registration. Right, wherever they are registered at a different places, separate return at the different places, they have to do it. Casual taxpayers to file a regular returns. Even casual taxpayers who might be doing a business only during some seasonal business they are doing, or they are not doing business regularly, casually they are doing the business, but they have to file a return regularly. All returns have to be filed online. So today, because of digitalization, even GST have their own network, that is GSTN, Goods and Tax Network. So in that GSTN, they have to file a return, online return they should file. Annual returns are based on the financial statements and not just the total of the tax paid. So whatever they are paying the annual return, right, at the end of the year, it should be based on their financial statements, whether it is an income statement, profit and loss account. Those all records will be seen by the tax department. Then common returns under CGST and IGST and SGST Act are to be followed. Right, these all things like CGST, IGST, and SGST Acts are to be followed, and there will be no revised returns. If you file once return, there will be no thing called as a revised return. Then who should file what? Who has to file what? The taxpayer under regular scheme, they should file the monthly GSTR 1, 2, 3, and annual return. Right, one who has followed under the regular scheme. Then taxpayer under composition scheme. Some of the taxpayer, they are under composition scheme. They should follow quarterly, GSTR 4, and annual return. Then some of the taxpayer are casual taxpayers. They should follow GSTR 1, GSTR 2, 3 during the validity period of registration, and GSTR 5 on expiry of registration. Similarly, non-resident foreign taxpayers. The non-resident foreign taxpayer should uh, file a return on the basis of GSTR 1, 2, and 3 during validity period of registration and GSTR 5 on expiry of registration. Then similarly, input service distributors, they should follow a form of monthly GSTR 6. TDS authorities, they should follow GSTR 7 for the month in which TDS is done and annual return. Then UN bodies and UID cases, right? There they should follow GSTR 2 for the month in which inward supplies are received.